evening, and welcome to another abbreviated version of Spooky Southcoast. But hey, at least we're here this week. The Red Sox decided to take forever to finish that game. I don't even care at this point.
I do.
I do not care. Saturday night games, I don't care win or lose. I just want them to be over as fast as they can be. Even when they have a good team and they have a shot at going far, the way I see it is if they lose the Saturday night games, it still doesn't really matter as long as they win during the week. So I just root for whatever is the fastest game. Or a lot of rain on Saturdays. That's good too.
Rain works.
Just, it doesn't have to be rainy all day. Just start raining around, 7 o'clock when the game usually starts. Right. And have it be enough of a downpour that they just cancel the game. And I'm fine with all the Sunday doubleheaders they want to play. But we are here. We're here to talk about the paranormal for about 45 minutes. Actually less. As we are each and every Saturday night, sometimes. We missed last week's show because of the Red Sox. They decided to take over our time slot, and normally we would have gone on primetime and had a special primetime edition of the show, but it was a very special occasion. It was the 65th birthday of Jeff Belanger, so we had to celebrate with him as he retires. He's the big 4-0. So happy birthday to Jeff, who will never retire, because he just loves the paranormal too much. But we had fun celebrating his birthday with him, and we had some pretty good discussion around the campfire that we are working on turning into a backyard podcast. Not the backyard podcast that we've been promising our donors who have donated to our GoFundMe account, that anybody who's donated a significant amount of money, we're going to invite them to the backyard podcast. It's not that one.
This is just a bonus track.
Right. This is just a little something that came up kind of impromptu.
It was a practice run. That's all.
It was more just a matter of Jeff said, well, if you're coming, you should bring the podcast stuff. And I would think it was Thursday night or Friday afternoon. I was like, you sure you want me to bring it? Yeah, bring it. We'll have fun. And we did. Yeah. We had some pretty... The funny part is like I was like 4 or 5 beers in when we started, and immediately as soon as the mics go on, Jeff goes into like serious mode. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I can't keep up with you right now. But it was a pretty entertaining conversation. I know Stephanie was listening at home.
I was.
And
I was a little jealous, but...
You were jealous?
Well, yeah, just because I think it would have been funny to be the only sober one watching you guys.
That's true. But at least there were no mosquitoes where you were.
That's very true.
Oh, if somebody forgot to turn off their sound on their phone, that would be me. That's a rookie mistake right there. That's something we haven't done in forever. And Matt Costa, you missed the party as well. But
I did watch it though.
Yeah, you were sorely missed.
Yeah.
Only because you're the only one that can actually consume many alcoholic beverages and still maintain composure. You and Jeff would have been able to have a pretty normal conversation while...
I have to agree with that from previous experience.
Yes, he holds his liquor well.
He does.
There's a story, I don't know if I ever told this story on air, but we went to a bachelor party event for a relative, and it was on Main Street in Hyannis. And we got trashed.
I was trying to figure out...
Was that my brother's 21st birthday? I don't know. I think it was my brother's 21st birthday.
Big party.
Yeah. We got trashed. And everywhere we tried to go into, nobody would let us in, except for Matt. Matt had probably drunk more than anybody else had. But he was still getting into all these places while the rest of us were being told we couldn't go in. And, of course, being the great friend that he is, he was going into all those places while we were stuck waiting outside.
Well, naturally. Why wouldn't you?
He didn't stay, but he still went in. Just
I thought you guys were right behind me.
It's just the principle of the matter.
No, it was definitely a lot of fun. No,
For real?
He went in, and then he turned around and he came back out.
I've only seen him really, really drunk once.
That was
Do you have a Ted?
I think we all do.
There's a lot of Ted in all of us. But even when we did the first...
What's my other...
I don't remember.
Eric?
Eric.
That's what
it's Eric.
Yeah. That never happened. That never happened. But even when we did the original backyard podcast, Matt still was pretty...
We should have like another unofficial one that's in very limited podcasts.
Well, we are going to have the one with the invited guests. So that will happen. And
because I was worried we weren't going to have it.
We will.
Okay.
No, we promised them. They donated a lot of money. That laptop that you're using was achieved through those donations. And we still could always use more money, so you can go to GoFundMe.com/Spooky Southcoast if you'd like to make a donation. We've been able to replace one webcam so far, so we'll say hi to everybody up there on the
We should
nice
give out
webcam.
small prizes along the way.
But we need
something
like
other than eye contact with Matt Moniz.
That nobody wins with that prize.
No.
You guys can have the silly
me.
putty that I play with every week.
Oh,
That's true, because I really wish you'd stop using the silly putty, because I gave you tape. There's tape in the bag.
But nothing works as good as silly
I
putty.
keep looking at him like, is he putting silly putty on the brand new camera?
We can give out hugs.
Well, people would want a hug from you.
Okay, so I'll give out a hug.
But the rest of us, they'd be like,
To the top bidder.
And some of us might actually have legal ramifications if we try to hug anybody. Some of us may be required to stay 200 yards away from the normal folks. But, it was a fun night last Saturday, and we will get the audio out there to you. There's a few little edits that we need to make. Even though we like to keep the backyard podcasts, we like to keep them raw and unfiltered, there's a few little things that probably shouldn't go out there for safety's sake.
National security reasons.
Exactly. I spilled way too many secrets that I shouldn't have. So we'll work on that. We'll work on getting that up.
You proved that ghosts are real.
I did.
On air.
And it was amazing.
Gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah.
When Bigfoot came up out of the woods behind Jeff's house and sat down, which was a very, I was very proud of him because it was a very, he didn't hold back. He opened up and he shared a lot.
What was his beer of choice?
He was just drinking whatever was in the cooler at that point.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was amazing to see he had opposable thumbs to undo the.
It's pretty good.
It did, and the funny part is I expected him being a wild creature, to just like bite the end cap off himself,
Right.
bite the cap off the beer and just start
Or
drinking
just
it.
shotgun the beer.
But no, he had that maneuver where he just put it down, then he would slap it down. It was good. He had it down pat. It was like boom, and when he started playing with Jeff's drone, like that was
That thing was cool.
dude. You got to see Jeff's drone.
Yeah.
he's got the GoPro attached to it, and it's like one of the quadcopter ones. The thing's fantastic,
Nice.
and he has it for professional reasons. He uses it for filming, but man, he must have a lot of fun with that. And it goes high up in the air.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Well, it had to have gone over 100 feet.
well over.
I mean, this thing was going up there till it was just a dot, and then coming back down. So. But the embarrassing part was when
balloons?
when it went by Bigfoot and it was like, it was like slapping it away like he was King Kong and it was a plane. So but we had a lot of fun. So we'll get that audio out there to you. Again, we have an abbreviated show tonight because of the Red Sox. So we're going to do the best that we can to pack it full of fun and information. We do want you to know, however, that we have lots of great shows coming up in the next few weeks and few months, including we'll have Mark Anthony, the Psychic Lawyer. That show was preempted earlier this month, so that will be happening on October, I want to make sure I get the date right, 11th. And then we'll also have coming up in September, on September 4th, we'll be joined by a good friend of ours named Bob Ethier, who has put out his first book called Angels to Aliens. And this is a book that has been in the works for a long time, and Bob is someone who is he's not a name in the paranormal field yet. He's somebody who has been working quietly behind the scenes, investigating and also gathering people's stories and putting together this book. So he will join us to it'll kind of be like the world premiere of it. He is doing one other radio show before ours, but this will be kind of the world premiere to the paranormal community about this book, Angels to Aliens. So you can check that out on Amazon now if you want to get it in advance of his appearance coming up the first weekend of September. And then we also have Bob Olson joining us as well in September, who is somebody that I know Stephanie is familiar with. He's written a new book, and he's done a lot of research into the field of psychics and mediumship.
He has. I'm looking very forward to that show. I had the opportunity to sit across from him at a dinner table at one point. So, a very intelligent man. Everybody can check out his website too. He is the founder of the Best Psychics Directory. So, do a little bit of research. I am not in there.
Did somebody have to nominate you to be in there?
I believe that you can pay to be on that, and then there's another side of it.
You're not really the best then if you're paying for it.
I know you can advertise yourself, but we can clarify with him, of course. But
sure. Anytime
that I've looked at it, it's either you can pay to advertise, and then there's a section where he's checked you out and has done like the own research. So, it's very few people are on there that, I mean, like bigger names are on there that people would normally be familiar with or that you would see on television, things like that. So,
Well, one of the things that's been discussed quite a bit over the years, and we can open up with this, is we've talked about it, and other folks have talked about it. They say, well, why is there an Angie's List of paranormal teams? Why isn't there a website where teams are ranked and reviewed by the folks who they go and investigate for? And it's one thing if you are going to have an Angie's List where you're going to rate a contractor, or you're going to rate an exterminator, rate a landscaper, somebody's going to come to your house, perform a service that you can see the direct results of. You can't see the direct results of what someone does for a paranormal investigation.
right.
And just, and the criteria for judging would be so difficult because they could come in and be the most professional group in the world. They could completely do everything above board, very well-mannered, well-groomed, no problems, just A1 tip-top people. But they come back at you and saying, hey, we didn't find anything. I'm sorry. There's no evidence here. There's no any kind of experience, no anomalies that we can present to you. And so that might lead to them getting a bad rating, even though they're one of the best groups in the world in terms of how they conduct themselves and conduct their business. But some, bunch of hacks who go out there and act like a bunch of morons, but then come back with, ghost app photos
Right.
that they've installed. They photoshopped in ghosts and they've taken pictures of orbs, knowing full well that they took pictures of orbs and that they were easily explainable, but they still present them as evidence to the client. And that person could say, wow, I was really blown away by what they got. And because they were able to show me something, therefore they're better than that other group that showed me nothing. I saw that earlier this week. Moni's putting up a close-up of an orb, as close as you can get, without actually becoming the orb yourself.
100 micron, yeah.
And it's just dust.
Yeah.
No matter how much more you could have zoomed in from there, it'd still just be dust.
I think the tough part is, too, you can't really put a standard or any type of testing to anything to the paranormal because it's not an established field. So how do you judge, or anybody that could judge, like, your picture of dust? There are people out there that truly believe that pictures of dust are orbs and are angels and are demons.
And there are people out there that truly believe that Elvis is still alive, too.
There
What are you talking about? How can you say that today of all days, Moniz?
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
He still is with us. He's in our hearts.
But
He's
either
still
way,
alive.
you can't. There's no way. There's no standard. There's nothing that you can judge off of. So, I mean, it's a very good idea, the Angie's List of Paranormal, just to rate, how they conduct themselves or...
Yeah, I mean, and that's really all you can hold them accountable for. But the thing is people look to us...
Right.
To, other people in the field, the field, quote unquote, people look to people in the field to find out opinions and ratings of other groups and other folks, and that's like asking one car dealer, hey, what do you think of this car dealer?
It's very true in some...
Nobody's, for the most part, you're not going to get an honest answer unless that honest answer is, hey, they suck. Really, because there's so much... It's not that the word is competition, because there's no...
Some people
nothing
believe
to
it
be
is,
gained.
though.
Yeah, but that's how they see it. And,
right.
And it's definitely a conflict for a lot of folks. And so you can't really ask them their opinion because they're going to try to further their own cause by bashing someone else. And so you're never going to get an accurate and true rating. We do have some calls on the line here. The phone lines are lighting up.
We always like those.
Let's jump to the phones. Good evening. You're on Spooky Southcoast.
Hi, Tim and company.
How are you?
Hi, good evening. Listen, I got to ask you a question. I've been listening to you for quite some time. Do you ever think that in the paranormal, maybe if somebody has a building that's haunted, possibly, it might be in the alignment of the planets and the stars and the moon, and maybe these ghosts just come out at a certain time related to the atmosphere? Do you think that's possible?
Well, there's certainly a lot of folks who feel like that plays into it. If you look at a lot of paranormal groups' websites, they'll have up on there like a little widget that says what the phase of the moon was on a particular day of an investigation. They log that as part of the data of the investigation, not having a necessary connection, not necessarily having that connection, but putting it out there as being something that might possibly be connected. And I know that we find that when you have a particularly, they say, on a dark and stormy night, you have a lot of paranormal activity happening. Well, that's true, because there's more of a charge in the air on a stormy night. So you will get more activity. There will be more things that you can quantify. So
understandable. Yeah. So that may, I would just think that that may play into it with the alignment of planets and if there are ghosts, they may have a particular preferred period where they like to surface. And
you must see that, Moniz. You must see that in a lot of the work that you do.
It goes to the stone tape theory, because you have geological processes that are inherent in quartz and stuff like that. We all know that quartz will retain a type of electromagnetic memory. We use that in our smartphones that we have, our watches and stuff like that. It's regularly used. We know that exists. And with tectonic activity that is affected by gravitational pulls, from the moon and other planetary bodies.
Everything's energy, no matter what.
Right. So there is a possibility that this can be affected by these things.
And Stephanie, with your abilities and the way that you're able to interact with spirits, do you find that there is that type of a connection? I mean, I know you always talk about certain things within astrology that I kind of just dismiss. You're like, Mercury's in retrograde. I'm like, whatever, and then everything blows up.
Right.
But, you do see a connection between all of that.
There is. I think what people don't realize is everywhere you go is quote-unquote haunted. I don't really like the word haunted, but everything has energy. Everything has spirits. It's just how open are you to them? You can become open to them after a certain amount of time, depending on, just as simple as having a conversation with us can open your mind to something. But different things like, gravitational pulls like the moon, like Moni's just mentioned, energy in the air, the dark and stormy night, there's a lot more energy. Things like that can just bring out the activity level where you're going to notice it a little bit more than you normally would. So, yeah, absolutely. Anything like that can affect haunting, per se.
And I was going to say the dark and stormy night thing is people are home. Most people don't want to be out in a dark and stormy night, so they're at home or in places.
Well, not unless if you're into the paranormal.
That's true.
Right.
One of the things that I wonder too is if certain amounts of these factors, whether it be something astrological or just something earthly with tides and things like that.
I think it's all connected.
Well, and I wonder how much of that impacts our own brain waves and our own brain status. If we slip a little bit into those beta waves during those times for whatever reason, that's going to make us more open to things that are out in the quote-unquote ether.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the call and for the question.
And I would imagine that you guys, because when your paranormal teams, when you go out and you find nothing, it just might be that it was the wrong night, the wrong time, the wrong alignment of planets, the wrong moon, and ghosts, if people claim they have them, will show up when everything is right.
They were just missing a really good medium, that's all.
Or it's just like fishing. You don't catch a fish every time you go out fishing. It's the wrong lure, the wrong, tide. And
that's why
they're just not biting that day.
Yeah.
That's why they call it fishing.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Find them.
Exactly. That's it, and that's what we're doing. That's all that we're doing. We're out there fishing for something.
Okay, you guys. You have a good night, man.
You too. Take
thanks.
care.
All right. Okay.
We do have another call on the line, so we'll take that. If anybody has any questions, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Yes, good evening. Tim, what is the definition of a paranormal? What does that mean exactly?
In my experience, paranormal, and actually the etymology of the word, is anything that is considered outside of what we consider to be normal. However, the para doesn't necessarily mean that it is beyond. Para actually would mean alongside the normal. So to me, it's like saying it's whatever's paranormal is normal. It's just a different kind of normal, if you get what I'm saying. So to me, a paranormal experience is something that doesn't fit into our normal definition of normal, but we still can't deny that it happens.
Okay, that makes better sense to me. Now, the other night on TV, I watched, I forgot what channel it was. It was about the Hockomock Swamp in Bridgewater.
Yep.
And then that I understood. And then they went on to two sisters that were used as breeders. Have you ever seen that?
You know, not only did you see the long-haired guy that was a friend of theirs?
Well, let me tell you something. I was so beside myself, I turned it. I was frightened to death.
So you didn't get to see the long-haired gentleman that they met at the bar?
No.
Because he's sitting right across from me here in the studio.
Oh, really?
My co-host, Matt Moniz, is those twins, Audrey and Debbie Starborn. They've been on the program many times.
Really?
They're actually longtime friends of his, and he was very involved with their case pretty much right from the beginning. So he can speak to that better than I can.
And what were the results?
Clarify, what do you mean, what were the results?
Well, they were used as breeders.
Yes.
When I heard that, I just, sitting by yourself.
Still ongoing today, right?
Still ongoing. Thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of cases of it.
Really?
Really?
Oh, God. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really baffled about that.
That's okay. I don't do aliens myself, so you're not alone.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
They scare me a little bit.
I'll try to watch this if it comes on again through the whole.
I guarantee you it will come on again. They've been running it nonstop.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. If you got Comcast, you can look it up on demand.
Under what?
Under Destination America is the name of the network.
Thank you very much.
And if you'd like to see the film, The Bridgewater Triangle, the actual documentary, it will be debuting on that network in the fall in an edited version. But if you'd like to see the uncut version, they'll be showing it at the Lakeville Public Library on August 19th.
Really?
So let me see here. I'll look at the picture and see if I can get a little bit. I can't see the exact times on this photo that Manny Famolari posted up, but if you call the Lakeville Library, 508-947-9028, they can give you some more information.
So that's Tuesday.
That'd be coming up this Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. See, there we go. We had two great questions here on the program. So
I agree. Keep them coming.
Anybody that wants to call in and ask, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. That is the number to call in, or you can tweet us at SpookySC, or you can email us, spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com. One of the things that I want to talk about, because we've been getting a lot of people discussing it on Facebook, it was actually Carlston Wood, a friend of the program, who first posted it up on Twitter. On Facebook, on our Facebook earlier, and share this with us. And I guess it's been something that's been going around social media for the last couple of days, this Houston UFO sighting. If you haven't seen it, go to the Spooky South Coast page on Facebook. There's a video up there with some still shots, and we'll put some more things up there, some more of these reports that are up there from the various news outlets. But this was pretty interesting because a lot of people are scratching their heads and don't know what this is. Moniz, you said that you saw this a couple days ago. This ring.
I have friends that are from the Houston area.
Circle of lights floating over the sky.
Correct.
The photo and video were captured from someone driving in a car. There was a thunderstorm going on, lightning in the sky, and all that stuff. But you see this round, circular, what appears to be about 500 feet in length, based on estimates from the ground.
Correct.
It seems to be a pretty significant craft of some sort.
Well, it seems to be a significant orientation of lights. My opinion is that it is a group of lights rotating in a unison. I don't think it is one entire quote-unquote craft. I think because if you look at the video, you'll see when the lightning flashes, you can see through the clouds behind it. I think what you have is an orientation of individual lights creating a circle. And
it kind of looks like there's something in the middle of it, though. Like it could be a craft.
There could be several other smaller things in it. Do I think it's one larger craft? No. Do I think it's completely alien? No.
I see.
So what would it be then?
I'm not entirely sure. I think this may be more local grown than anything else. In my opinion, from what I've seen.
They're saying it's about 15 miles from the Kennedy Space Center in Houston, or the Johnson Space Center in Houston, sorry. But that, NASA obviously hasn't come forward and said that it's anything that they're working on, but...
There are several military bases around there.
They're not going to say if it is something that they're working on necessarily either. So it remains to be seen what happens with that. The fact that it happened on a night when it's very stormy out is interesting because it could have been some sort of weather collection. It could have been something that was, if you've seen some of the storm equipment that they use, a lot of that stuff, it's gyroscopic in how it collects the data. So it could be something related to that, but you would think if that's the case, somebody would come forward and say that there's no real secret in weather data collection. Weather manipulation is a different story, but in data collection, there's nothing to hide. What I find interesting about it, though, is that there's all these reports of dozens, if not hundreds of people who reported seeing this when it happened, but there's one guy who's been the central source for all the video and photos. There hasn't been any other video or any other photos that have come out from anyone else, just the stuff coming from this one gentleman. So if there is something going on like that in the sky, how many people would have been pulling out their cell phones to record some kind of video, capture some sort of photo, and even if it wasn't the best quality, at least it would be something that would back up what this person had. So the fact, whenever it's only one person, I'm always very suspicious of it because there's no way that anything could be going on like that and not have more than one person.
Well, I brought that up on a previous show too. In this day and age, we have the technology.
Right.
I'd be the first one whipping out my cell phone saying, "What the heck is going on?"
Not me, because I always forget that I have that capability on my phone because I'm stupid. But many, many other people are not.
And there's very easy ways to determine whether this really did happen. This thing is that large, and it's recorded over, he's recorded over different areas.
Mm-hmm.
External security cameras would have picked this up on a number of different buildings facing it. And simple, legwork going back, asking to see the security videos from that time period should show it if it was actually there.
So it's definitely something that we'll follow up on. We'll keep an eye on that story. Costa, you're usually the most skeptical out of us. You saw a little bit of that footage earlier. What do you think about it?
I don't know what it is. I mean, it is interesting that there is thunder and lightning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard like ball lightning do some strange stuff, but it's no ball lightning that I've ever seen before.
Right, and it's the fact that it's so large and that it is separated into. Now Moniz thinks that it looks like individual lights kind of working in unison. I think that it looks like it's definitely one unit. And what I kind of thought of is I thought of kind of and if you see some of the videos, they kind of try to make a pattern outline of it and see if they can extrapolate what it might look like. And it's kind of like, if I can get my Star Treks right. Deep Space Nine, is that right? Like it's a circle with like the part in the middle that connects it, and a lot of early space station that you see in movies, have kind of that type of look to it. That's how it kind of looks like to me. I guess if we wanted to put it into more acceptable common terms, then I would say it looks kind of like the steering wheel for the Wii. Where you have the steering wheel and you put the controller in the middle.
It looks like one unit to me, too, but like I said, I don't do aliens. They kind of scare me a little bit. So I'm going to go with maybe it's not aliens to make myself feel better.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I have a strong feeling that no matter what it is, it's not alien.
Okay, I like that answer.
Okay, I have a strong feeling that it's something that we're not going to be told about because nobody was supposed to see it.
Well, at the same time, I mean, does it really matter what it is? Is it affecting anyone?
Well, it depends.
I got other things to worry about.
There's plenty of folks, though, who spend their entire life worrying about this. If
I see some of them on Facebook daily, and I want to pull my hair out every time I read one.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter to you, but it matters to Steve Bassett, who has been fighting for 20 years now or more to get this recognized, So there are some folks that will definitely have a strong interest in figuring out what's going on.
Right.
And then there's people like you who are just too scared to know the truth.
I'm not scared to know the truth. I just can't spend my time reporting every black helicopter that I see or every
You know what?
thing
I got
I
a
see.
surprise for people that might blow their minds. Most of the helicopters out there are black.
Say it isn't
And if they're
so.
not black, they look like they're black when they fly over you because you're underneath it.
But that, that's a whole other show for a whole other time.
Some of them
Right.
have black in their name, like Black Hawks.
And what I find even more interesting
Shocking.
is this always drives me crazy. Is the people who have these helicopters flying over their houses all the time, like they don't like look where they live. I know somebody who lives like very close to Boston and is complaining about how these helicopters are always following him around. Like every day he looks out his window and there's helicopters flying over him. Like they must be watching him. I'm like, or it could be every freaking news station in Boston that has a helicopter all flying over you because you live off the expressway.
Seriously though, what is so strange about a helicopter?
Well, if you really want to get into it, the black helicopter things that started back in earlier UFO days weren't actually black. Okay, they refer to the black ones because of special ops teams that
Right.
you would do, but the people that were generally harassed in UFO nature and UFO lore, the helicopters weren't black. And several cases, it was like a canary yellow that was harassing them, a particular Bell Ranger, seen at the site of several locations. So, the black helicopter is just a name that was assigned because of,
So basically, nobody's done their homework.
well, yeah.
Well, I think paranoia usually wins out
Yes, it does.
over education. So.
I had, I was telling you I think a couple weeks ago, I had people in my area reporting, oh my god, black helicopter, black helicopter. It flew over my house. It was low enough where I could, read on the side of it. It was Boston Medflight. And, I'm like, okay, I told my husband, I'm like, I know they're going on 140. That's what it had to have been an accident. And sure enough, on the news, an hour later, there was an accident. But everybody is black helicopter, black helicopter. Right. And we live so close to military bases that there's nothing to freak out about. Do your research.
As Costa can verify where we live, we have them fly over our place all the time. But there's a reason, because it's a visual point of reference for them to navigate over.
Absolutely. I live right next to the airport.
We have an Air Force base, 5 miles over the bridge from my house, and I have all the bog copters coming over from Plymouth, and there's always aerial activity. It drives me crazy going home because I'm always looking in the sky. Right. And after all those years of doing that, I've only had one UFO sighting in my life, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, coming over 195, heading from Fall River back to Wareham, and I saw it out over like the Fairhaven, Mattapoisett, Acushnet area, and it was not a plane, it was not a helicopter. They don't move that fast.
Right.
It was not a shooting star because it stopped, and then it went again, and then it stopped, and then it went again, back and forth. It was something, and ever since then I stopped looking at the sky.
When was this?
If I can help it. It was coming back from a Lizzie Borden event a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it.
So that does it for this week's show, actually. We are out of time. Again, it was an abbreviated edition. Thank you to the Red Sox. We will be back next Saturday night. Our guest will be Deborah Moffat. She'll be joining us to talk about the extreme haunting that she lived through. She actually has a book out now called A Deadly Haunting. You may have heard her on Coast to Coast and some of the other paranormal shows. She will be joining us next Saturday night to share her terrifying story and her real-life experiences with an extreme haunting. So we'll find out more about that next Saturday night. And remember, you can always go to SpookySouthCoast.com. You can go to YouTube.com/SpookySouthCoast. Follow us on Twitter @SpookySC. Email us SpookyCrew@SpookySouthCoast.com, or sign up for the podcast. You can get it via iTunes or wherever podcasts are found. 9 tickets left for our Legend Trips event, August 30th at Edaville Railroad. LegendTrips.com to get those. Until next time, we want you all to stay spooktacular.
It'll be home to local news talking bursts of laughter. The South Coast turns to AM 1420 WBSM New Bedford and WBSM.com.
From ABC News, I'm Todd, and a curfew starts tonight in Ferguson, Missouri, following more